Hey guys, good morning. It's Thursday and normally, of course, in this playlist you're used to Behind the Closed Doors. A few about what I do during the day. Today it's gonna be a totally different episode than you're used to. It's no behind the scenes, but it's an episode where I explain to you guys about somebody who inspired me and probably millions a lot about how to create a vlog. And his name? Casey Neistat. So enjoy today's episode of Behind the Closed Doors, where I tell you where I got my inspiration from and who you might want to check out if you don't know him already.
Seven, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
You'll never have the sacred stone.
Oh, this you crazy mother.
Okay, so when we started the vlog, it was never the idea to become as big as it is now. We were just filming it with our iPhones or with some smaller cameras like the RX100. I didn't give any attention to the sound or to the lighting. It was just an idea to give you guys a behind the scenes look. However, when you look at the rest on our channel, it's filmed with proper cameras, it's filmed with proper lighting, proper audio. So at one point we just felt like, Behind the Closed Doors is really quality-wise the worst thing we deliver, so let's up the ante a little bit. So at the moment we're actually filming with the Sony a6500, we have proper audio mics, we use lighting, and that's not it. Doing an educational video is totally different than doing a vlog. With an educational video, it's about a product, for example, the YobiPod. I just pick up a YobiPod or this YobiPod and I tell you guys about it and I show the product. That's about it. A vlog has to be something different. And in my opinion, a good vlog is a storytelling program. It's something that just captures you from the first moment all the way through. Now, in my photography, I know how important it is to tell a story, because if you just shoot a model in tank top and jeans, you have nothing interesting going on, so you better be a lighting wizard. With moving images, the story changes. Now you have to tell something. You have to get people going from the first second you start that camera. So I looked online and I looked at a lot of different vlogs, and one of the things that I realized when I looked online, there's a huge difference between the content providers. Now, before we started the vlog, I didn't look a lot online. I just did my own thing. I did the educational stuff and that's it. As soon as we started the vlog, I was more interested in, okay, what do other people do? Now, you have people that have like 50 million followers or 40 million followers, and when I look at their channel, I always go like, but why do they have 50 million followers? Because there's a lot of drama, there's a lot of talking about what doesn't go right, and I'm a very positive person, so I don't like the drama. At one point I found somebody, and that's actually what this video is about, who inspired me a lot. And if you're familiar on YouTube, you probably know who I'm talking about. Casey Neistat. Now, what does Casey Neistat bring to YouTube that's, in my opinion, totally different than anything else? Let's just take a quick example. If you look at his videos, from the first second on, you're absolutely glued to your screen. You want to know what's going on. He has a very nice personality. He's very positive. He shows you stuff in a more storytelling way. The way he films it is totally different from what you see from a lot of other people. And I think that has to do because, in essence, he's a filmmaker. And I think that's the biggest difference. A lot of people start their vlog, including me by the way, by just looking into the camera and talking to you guys. Do the next scene, talking to the camera and do some stuff. You have a lot of people who will do a vlog and just shout. And those are the vlogs that I actually always click away. Some people do it like an educational video, which I absolutely love, but we already had a place for an educational video part. So I started looking at those Casey Neistat vlogs, and the thing that immediately caught me, every vlog has a story. And that story is told with many in-between scenes. So let's say the main story is, I'm going to pick up my iPhone and I'm going to paint it blue. Then there will be a lot of stuff going in between. So you get a really good sense of what he does during the day and of course the main story. Most of all, what I find very interesting is the way that he edits. He uses a lot of jump cuts, meaning that I will start talking at one point, like you saw in the beginning of the video. I start talking inside our house, I walk outside, I enter the studio. So those are 3 scenes, and I actually do the same story over and over again, and then we edit it as one part. But there's more. You have drone footage, you have time lapses, and somehow he creates it all together in a beautiful mix. Most of all, storytelling. Now, I'm somebody who always tells people you have to find your own way. Don't just copy stuff, borrow stuff. And then make it your own. And this is what we are actually trying to do with Behind the Closed Doors. You can actually see the moment that I found out about Casey Neistat. At that moment, our whole vlog changed. We started doing the drone footage. We started doing a little bit of time lapses. Not because he does it, but just because he, let me put it this way, he woke me up like, okay, this is also possible. We started doing little in-between scenes, like I can of course start in the morning. Hey guys, how are you doing? It's Wednesday morning, I'm at home, we're now going to the studio. Cut, I'm in the studio. Cut, I'm doing something. But why not do the stuff in between, like pick up your dead cat for your microphone, or pick up your Joby pot, put a little bit of music under it, and now people have something to watch that's one big cyclus and one big story. And that makes it way more engaging for the people to watch, but also way more interesting, because that way you don't just see a talking head, but you actually see something happening. Now, of course, it doesn't end there. If you want a successful vlog, you have to find some stuff that's interesting, because if I wake up every morning and I show you my breakfast, and then I go lay on the couch, watch a movie, and then we have lunch, then I go out, walk the dogs, and then I go back home, we have dinner, and watch a movie and go to bed. That's not really interesting. Now, Casey, of course, lives in New York, and New York is cheating, because it's the carnival 24/7, 365 days a week, 365 days a year. There's always something going on. Now, I live in Emmeloord, and there's something going on, but it's not that interesting. On the other hand, we have a totally different landscape, of course, than New York. So that means that our drone footage will show you different stuff. And I think that's the most interesting part. And this is also what I tell a lot of the photographers that do their workshops here. You can, of course, travel and go to different locations to do your shoots, but often the most beautiful locations are actually in your backyard. Now, why are they in your backyard? Very simple. Because other people don't have that backyard. Why do we travel? Because we want to see other people's backyard. That's interesting for us. But for all the other people, like if you live in a city like New York, you know the skyscrapers, you know the streets, and they're incredibly intense and great. But you never saw something like we have in Emmeloord, like flat areas. We have UNESCO heritage very close by. We have a lot of stuff that you don't see in the big cities. So don't think because you're living in a rural area like we do that there's nothing interesting going on. But you have to find it. And this is something that I found incredibly challenging for the vlog. To find something every single episode that makes it more interesting for you guys. So when I look at myself, what will the future bring? I don't know. At the moment, we love doing the vlog. I borrowed a lot from Casey Neistat, and well, in the future I hope to grow and make it my own style. This video was purely intended to give you guys a heads up about how I think about running a vlog. And I think when you look online, and this is my honest opinion, and if you don't agree with me, don't worry, you can post comments below if you think somebody's better. But in my opinion on YouTube, Casey is around here. It's the best vlog I ever saw on YouTube. Then you have a lot of other people, and I think then the rest. And why is Casey all the way up there? I think it's personality. I think he's a great guy. Mail time. I love that. That's something we also, by the way, put in our vlog. You have the storytelling, and that's mainly also because he's a filmmaker. The way he edits, it's totally different from what other people do. A lot of the stuff that he does, a lot of people will tell you, no, that's a mistake. And my opinion is very simple. If you do it once, it can be a mistake. If you do it twice, it can be a mistake. But if you do it 3 times, you have style. And that's what he does very, very smart. Like, he doesn't finish some sentences because you know the word that's going to follow. He just adjusts his camera or exposure. Now, if you do it once, he forgot to cut it out. But he does it every time, so it becomes something really interesting. But most of all, with his vlogs, you have the idea that he actually talks to you, that he tells you about his life to you personal. And one of the things that I found very interesting was with a giveaway. He actually called the people on Skype and talked to them. He's a very down-to-earth guy, and maybe I'm totally wrong, but that's the impression you get from the vlog. Very down-to-earth. He doesn't have a big ego in the vlogs, and a lot of the guys that do vlogs are projecting themselves above the rest. Very loud, we call it in the Netherlands, popie, being very popular. And I think that he tones it down a little bit. On the other hand, he can be overly enthusiastic. And there's a lot of humor in there. And of course the boosted board, which I will not try out because I will probably kill myself. So I hope this helps you out a little bit and tells you why I love Casey Neistat. And if you like this video, let us know by subscribing to our channel, and of course leave comments below. Thank you so very much for watching, guys, and see you next time. And thanks for watching this whole episode, especially dedicated to a big inspiration, Casey Neistat.